Buddy, I'm not gonna talk. I'm gonna let Hove talk for us. What's up, Hove?
Don't know if I guess I'm gonna say it. I don't know if battling needs to be part of the culture anymore.
Interesting.
I hate that I have this point
Interesting.
of view. I do because I know
Yeah.
I know what it sounds like. I know what it feels. I don't
It
know.
sounds dumb. That's why I didn't dick rider. Interesting. What's interesting about that? It's actually fucking boring. But again, this is why the young generation. You just get some stooge to sit there, and now you look stupid because Hove has just responded battling essentially with some respectfully. I think there's some lines in here. There's like some things in here, but ultimately this is kind of weak for Hove especially. And what did he do? Just battle. So what have you learned, class? The moral of the story is that rappers lie. Okay. If I were there in the interview and Hove said that shit, I'd have been like, what? Of course, that's why I'm not there. Because these guys, they interview, or I should say, their interviewers are normally people who don't know shit about hip hop, right? That's the whole point. So they can walk all over them, right? I mean, again, it's not that you have to be disrespectful to Hove and say, Hove, that sounds stupid. No, just be like, Hove, respectfully, I don't understand your position because you're the guy. You was a ballerina. I got the pictures. I seen you point to the fucking having pee on the screen, looking like freaking. Well, they weren't ballerinas, but in dance clothes, and the audience losing their fucking minds. So it's a little rich coming from you because you came up battling and destroying things. And look, listen, those battles were phenomenal. They're some of the best rap battles in history, arguably the best in rap history. But obviously, when you say that battling shouldn't be part of the culture, it's like, huh? And this is that contradictory shit that statesmen of hip hop say. This is not the first time Jay has said something that I was like, that sounds dumb. Respectfully, there was a time Hove said something. This is years ago, where he was like, well, racism will essentially he alludes to the fact that racism is not a thing anymore because you have white kids that listen to hip hop, and I was like, what? Nah. No, how about they'll listen to hip hop and still call you a monkey? Oh my god, this racism is killing me. Word to Chappelle. Anyway, I'm not going to dissect this because it's kind of a waste of my time. I'm about to go see ASAP in concert. Actually, shout out to ASAP Rocky. So I got to make this very brief. But my opinion of it is that ultimately the old Hove, the Hove that I love, would have just released a track, would have released the flutes on him or whatever. He'd have just gone on stage and be like, by the way, I got a new record. Maybe had a summer jam screen of some shit. That would have been ideal, of course. Again, if you're going to really launch an attack, then you launch your attack. This is kind of like the laziest. It's kind of like the laziest way to respond to a diss, in my honest opinion. Right? So even though obviously the line where he said, niggas looked up to Hove, I never looked up to them. That was a bar. That was a fucking bar, okay? And it's true. I mean, obviously, even when he supposedly dissed Nicki and all that, I mean, Nicki sampled, Jay for fractions, right? Jay doesn't need to sample you. And in a way, it just proves what I've always said. 90s niggas run you niggas. They could give you little cosigns for fun, but they don't really respect you. Okay, they don't really think that you're any threat to them. Let's be honest. And when it comes down to it, if they feel like they gotta get your ass out of here, or they like light jabs or whatever, they'll throw them. Of course they will, because they know that you haven't come close to them. That's okay. They'll hand out a cosign to some random, but they know that these people. It's look. There's no loss. It's a total benefit for them, right? Because they stay current by giving cosigns to young niggas, giving them hope, and they know they're giving out cosigns to young dudes who will never challenge them. So I mean, it's a win-win situation. It's a lose for the audience. It's a lose-lose for us, of course. But hey, so is life. The last thing I wanted to talk about very briefly, whenever Jay or Nas come up, because I listen to both of them quite a bit, and I was thinking, I was like, they're such interesting rappers, and obviously Jay became arguably the biggest rapper ever because Jay just raps about money, cash, hoes, money, cash, hoes, what, hoes, money, cat, right? Jay figured out quite early that. Not just that Hove raps about money, because a lot of people rap about money, but Hove is the what makes Hove one of the greatest ever, arguably the greatest ever, is that when you start, I remember I told you about archetypes and stuff, when you come to represent the biggest desires that a human being, a black male, black female, black people, just people in general, when you come to represent their biggest desires, you are now in a completely different air. Okay, and I'm talking about doing it in a way that is so artistically brilliant. On top of that, that you just trap people in that world. And so my point is that Hove represents business, right? He represents money, getting money, right? And it's a certain. Let me go even deeper. He represents one of the biggest desires that human beings have in the world, and that is to be successful, monetarily, but really just successful in general, right? To be able to purchase what you want, go on vacation, whatever it is, own mansions, all that stuff. Whatever it is, and we all have different levels of this, right? But Hove represents that, like, I get to succeed. Put me anywhere on God's green earth at triple my worth, right? It's a very innate human desire. When you're the best at rapping like that, you are going to be considered the great, if not one of the greats. It's just kind of obvious. And so Hove smartly realized that, like we all realize, really the way to get to that success is money. Okay? So you have to learn how to acquire money. You have to learn how to double, triple, quadruple your money. Okay? It's really that simple. And this is why Hove understands that constantly rapping about money and the ways in which money can work for you to get you the nicer things in life, whatever you've envisioned to be the nicer things in life, is always going to be successful. Now, you'll notice that Hove, even though Hove has style and he can dress nice and things like that, ultimately, Hove is not, he's not innately stylish. And I'm not going to say that to knock Hove, because he's not the guy that you would go to and be like, this guy is innately fly. Because Hove's whole sort of approach is like, well, if I'm the biggest hustler in the world, if I'm the richest rapper, if I'm the person that gets it better than everyone else, I can purchase style. I can purchase whatever I want. And it's a fair point, right? I mean, Hove is not dumb, so he can sense and be like, okay, whatever. I was sipping Cristal before when y'all niggas thought it was beer and shit, right? He can say, okay, I'm making more money than the average person, so I can get a sense of what's the next level, what's the best thing, and I'll just purchase that. Again, it's a very interesting outlook. This is why Jay and Nas are almost polar opposites in terms of rapping, and why you might fall towards one versus the other. Because Nas is actually almost the total opposite. Both of them obviously, well successful, doing quite well. But Nas's whole thing is almost like there's a innateness, an innate flyness to self. One has to know thyself, master self, master the environment. It's a sort of, and in a way of knowledge, right? Right. Certainly not just, and I'm not talking necessarily about business knowledge, but world knowledge, being connected with others, understanding the world as a whole. And there is a desire for that. And human beings do innately desire these things. Not as many people desire that, if we're being honest, which is why Nas is not as big of a rapper as Jay. I mean, among other things. Most people in the world desire money, understand that money is powerful. So you rap about money, you're going to have a massive fan base. People that are sort of more on the quest for spiritual, sort of esoteric knowledge, mastering itself, right? That's some kind of like martial arts type shit. It's a smaller audience, but it is a sizable audience, which is why Nas obviously has a sizable audience. And Nas is arguably the best to ever do this, right? You'll notice that Nas, this whole thing is really about being you and sort of mastering what's innately in you, right? And this is why when you listen to Nas, like for example, I'll use Black Zombie as a perfect example because, shout out to Hilly Hill. But even at the end of Black Zombie, right?
Listen to somebody else tell you how to do it when you can do it yourself. It's all in you. Do it. Do it.
Do it,
niggas.
Right? Hove would never say that. Okay, that's a line that I don't think Hove has in his catalog. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. So again, one is looking and saying, go out and get it. And I'm going to give you that fuel, that music that is going to make you so hungry and so laser sharp focused that you're going to go out there and get it. And this is why hustlers, the business people, they listen to Hove, Money Cash Hoes, You Don't Know. And it's like, oh my God, my brain is fucking fried, right? You know the hardest, okay. A lot of people quote that I can sell water to a whale, I sell fire in hell. Great lines, right? Immortal lines. But you know the hardest line? Or I should say, there's so many hard lines in that. But one of the absolute hardest rhymes in that song could have made 40 off a brick, but one rhyme will beat that. That is one of the greatest rap money getting business lines ever. And I guarantee you there are people, dudes in the street or wherever, anybody who heard that and were like, fuck. I gotta start rapping. There's certain lines like that. The other one that comes to top of my head, don't worry if I write rhymes, I write checks. I remember, again, these are songs I heard in real time. I remember seeing this because it came on MTV right when MTV was available to me, and I watched it. It was a new Diddy song. And when he said, don't worry if I write rhymes, I write checks, and I was like, holy shit, rap game is about to change. I knew it right then and there. I laughed, and I was like, this shit's going to be different. Because, Diddy just basically said, who gives a fuck? And I kind of went, you know what? You got a point. Oh my God. So anyways, this is what Jay brings to the table. So we love Jay. Obviously, Jay's a fantastic artist, has done some phenomenal stuff. And, he still runs hip hop in a lot of ways because the younger generation have not grabbed it from the arms of the older. That's all it is. But you know what? At some point, the younger generation is going to have to say enough is enough. And they're going to be like, give me that shit. You're going to have to do it. And the only way to do it is to make better music than these guys. That's it. It's the only way. There is no other way. Good luck. And on that note, I say peace.